Hi, and welcome to another Witchdoctors how-to. Today we're going to show you how to put in the Lloyds high performance air filter. What you get in the Lloyds kit is you get the filter, you get the mounting bracket, you get the 3 bolts, a pack of Loctite to put on the bolts, and 2 zip ties that hold the wiring harness. It's a high flow air filter, replaceable, cleanable. It's one of those filters that should last you a life of the bike as long as you take care of it. And it is one that also will increase horsepower, so a lot of you horsepower guys will like that. It's very easy to change, so let's get started and show you how. Okay, the first thing we need to do is we need to gain access to the air filter and the fuel control underneath the gas tank. So what you got to do, the first thing is you're going to take off both side panels. These are real easy to do. Just grab them, pull them off. I'm sure most of you guys already know how to do that. Set them aside. I'm going to use a 6mm Allen wrench for the seat. There's a bolt here, one on each side. Just loosen those up. Seat only takes you a couple minutes to get off. It's real easy. Okay, get the bolts out, lift the seat up and forward, and it comes right off. And that's all there is to taking the seat off. The next thing you're going to want to do is, if you look here, you got 2 bolts to take the gas tank off. Also a ground bolt. There's 2 vacuums here. You need to loosen those vacuums. Just pull them off, separate them, and back behind your cheese wedge, pull the cheese wedge off. You have your main fuel line right here. There's a clip back in there, a green clip, and if you watch some of our other videos, it shows you how to get that off. You want to just squeeze that green clip together and take the fuel tank off. I'll show you here in a minute. Alright, the first thing you're going to want to do is you want to disconnect the main fuel line. A lot of guys you'll hear talking about how they broke the fuel nipple off the gas tank. That's up underneath, up under here, up under the gas tank. We're not even going to mess with that. We're going to take it off here. If you do what I say here, you won't break the fuel nipple. So it's a little bit hard to see, but down inside there is a green clip that holds the fuel line right there. So what you want to do is you want to squeeze that clip together on both sides. Sometimes it's a little bit of a pain to do, but it'll come off. Once you squeeze it together, you'll kind of hear it click, and then you can pull the gas line off. The other thing you want to do for safety is just do this when the motor's not hot. You don't want to do a hot motor because a little bit of gas is going to drip out of there. So what you want to do is put a rag under there. Let's get an old rag and just put it so that you catch the gas. It's not going to be a ton, you know, it's not going to come spraying out of there, but it is going to come out of there. So what you want to do is just squeeze that clip together and you'll hear it click. Sometimes it's hard to get your hands in there. There you go. Just pull it and it comes right off. So no big deal. That's the first step. Leave the rag in there just in case it's dripping, because it will drip a little bit. Just let it drip into the rag. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the gas tank. Like I said earlier, you got bolt here, the 2 vacuum hoses, and the little ground wire. Same bolt you use for the seat, so you don't need anything any different. You know, loosen these 2 bolts up, take them off. This is definitely one of those things, if you can run the gas tank down to a little bit of fuel or no fuel, it's a lot lighter. You can, you know, easier to maneuver around. Have a buddy help you lift it off. If you go careful, you won't break that fuel nipple, like I said, that everybody breaks off. Just set the bolts aside, and you want to watch that on the bolts you have a rubber grommet on each side. So there's one on the outside, there's also ones on the inside. So when you lift up the gas tank, you want to watch you don't lose those. Just disconnect your vacuum hoses, just pull them apart. Lift up the tank a little bit, have a buddy help you hold it, and reach in there and pull these grommets out, because if not, you're going to lose them on the floor. So once you do that, you just basically lift up the tank and pull it back. Watch that fuel line dripping. There's also a wiring harness under here. Just pull the little tab, disconnect that, and you're all set. Just take the gas tank and set it aside. Okay, so now the gas tank's out of the way. Here's your air filter. Now this one already has the Victory Stage 1 air filter in it, but he wants to change and upgrade to the Lloyds model. The other thing a lot of you guys hear about is the rubber strip. Guys take out the rubber strip for horsepower. The rubber strip normally goes right here. So if you're doing it for the first time, that rubber strip is what guys pull out, and you hear them talking about it. So what you have to do, 3 bolts, here, here, and here, 10 millimeter. You want to take those bolts out, and you're not going to reuse this bracket or the bolts. So you're going to take all that and just set it aside. You're not going to reuse any of that. The one thing you want to have is a pair of side cutters. The zip ties that hold that bracket to the wiring harness on there. That's what we give you, new zip ties. Lloyd gives you them in the kit, but cut the zip ties off. And just throw the old ones away, obviously. You're not going to reuse them. And then that bracket just lifts out. Nothing to it. Real simple. The air filter is held on with 2 4 millimeter Allen bolts. So you're going to want to use a 4 millimeter Allen socket or Allen wrench. Take them out. Again, real simple. You're just going to take those bolts out. You're not going to reuse these bolts or the air filter. And set all that stuff aside. And these bolts don't come out of the filter, so you can sit there and spin them all day. They don't come out. They still stay in the filter. They just come out of the frame. So once you get them out, then you're done. And just pull the air filter out. Simple as that. Now, like I said with the Lloyds, he gives you the screws, the bracket, the zip ties, you get everything. So you're basically just going to take that, slide it down in there like that. Can't be any simpler. You're going to take your bracket, set your bracket on there. And the one thing you want to make sure you do is in the kit, they give you a little bottle of Loctite. Now you don't need it a lot. You just break the top off. You're just going to put a little drip on there. Don't go overboard. Just a little drip. Put just a little drip on each one of the bolts. Sometimes it's easier to get them started with the socket. Tighten the bolts down, and you want to just get them snug. You don't want to go overboard. If you crank them down, you're going to strip out the threads in the frame or break the bolt off. So just get them snug. I usually just kind of do them by hand like that first. Then take the ratchet. And just give them just a little bit till they kind of stop. If you do not want to strip those bolts out. Take the zip ties that you get in the kit, and you can just kind of wrap them around like the bracket. It's not really that important where you put them. You just got to kind of keep these wiring harnesses here, both of these, from going and falling out of the way. So just kind of put them on like that. I like to cut the end off that's hanging, the extra, trim that off a little bit. And you're all set. That's basically all there is to putting in Lloyd's air filter. You should see increased horsepower, torque. The motor's going to breathe a lot better. The one thing you might notice now is you're going to hear it sucking. You're going to hear the motor sucking air on some bikes. So that's nothing to be alarmed of. That's just, it tells you the filter or the motor's actually breathing now and the filter's doing its job. So all you would do now is in the reverse, you'd put the gas tank back on, hook everything back up, put the seat, the side panels and everything, and you'd be all set. So we'll show you that here in a minute. Okay, so we're ready to put the gas tank back on. So have you get somebody to give you a hand. On the front, you're just going to slide it down on those rubber pegs, those little rubber mounts on the frame. Watch you don't bend your fuel line. You know, make sure you get that out of the way. Now, while you still got it up in the air, plug your fuel injector or plug the wiring harness in. Kind of tuck that down out of the way. Make sure your vacuums are out of the way. Now, one thing you're going to do is put your rubber grommets back in before you set it down. Don't forget that. Pull all your wires out of the way. And then basically the tank will just set right back down on. Should go right on without any problems. And take your bolts, put your bolts back in. Snug them up. Again, don't crank them, don't burn them down. You're going to plug your fuel injection, your fuel hose back on. Tuck your line up out of the way, make sure it's not pinched off. Just push it on, snap it on. You'll hear it snap. You might get a little bit of gas, take your rag out of there. Plug your vacuums, hoses back together, or not back together there. Make sure you snap them together. Take your ground wire, put your ground wire back on. Now on this one we have the Lloyd's fuel controller, so we're also going to put the ground wire for that in the same spot. You know, just tighten that bolt up. When you get down close to the wires, you want to hold the wires so they don't spin. If you let them spin, you can twist the terminals off. So just get a hold of the wires here and keep them from spinning when you tighten that up. And that's basically it. Everything's connected up there. Make sure your fuel line's on. Now, the one thing you can do is to check if your fuel system leaks is just turn the bike on, and then all you have to do is turn the kill switch on. You'll hear the fuel pump turn on, and that'll pressure test the fuel for you that you don't have any leaks. You want to do that before you start the bike up so you don't risk, you know, catching something on fire with gas spraying out. So just do that, turn the kill switch on, fuel pump will turn on, and make sure you don't have any leaks. Next thing you're going to do is just put the seat back on and the side panels, and you'll be all done.